You've gotten engaged with your loved one and you're trying to decide whether to do a fiance visa to come and get a US green card or just get married and do it. There are a lot of questions that have to be asked and answered beforehand so you can strategically choose which one to do. I have a great chart here that we're going to go through today to help you decide which one's appropriate for you and go through various reasons to the extent possible of why you want to decide one over the other. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. I help married couples get green cards every day. It's our focus of our firm. And we go through these different scenarios of fiance visa, married to a U.S. citizen, married to a green card holder, inside the United States, outside, and much, much more. So let's jump into it and talk about which case is appropriate for you. So when we're looking at which case to choose, the first question you got to ask, frankly, is if the couple is married. There's two decisions that'll be made based on that. So if you're married, you gotta say, is it yes or no? So if it's no, we'll go down that route, which means you're just engaged, or maybe you're not even engaged, you're your boyfriend, girlfriend, or boyfriend, boyfriend, same-sex couples, heterosexual couples. It doesn't really affect the process from what I've seen. I'm not worried about either of those scenarios. But if you are not married, then you have to ask, is the U.S. spouse person as U.S. are they a citizen, a U.S. citizen, or a green card holder? Because the fiance visa option is only available to U.S. citizens. So if you're not a U.S. citizen spouse or a fiance, then you can't do this process. You have to get married. No choice on that. But if you are a citizen engaged to a foreign person, then you have the option for a fiance visa. Now, practically speaking, at our firm, out of 10 couples that come to us, 9 out of 10 times we recommend getting married. The fiance visa, as we'll go through a chart right now, is full of little issues that make it problematic, both in the time it takes to get the final result, the green card, as well as the massive amounts of additional costs that happen. So, for example, you see here, if someone is a fiance visa holder, they have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get the visa to be able to enter the U.S., and then they have to apply for a green card, essentially do this right side of the chart process right here. Whereas if you're married, once they come in the U.S., they're done. So, like, imagine less interactions with the government, which means less cost. Now, there are exceptions very rarely where it might be better to do a fiance visa. Sometimes you have couples who really want to get married in the United States because they want to live together for a couple months before they get married. They may have more family in the U.S., so they want them to be at the wedding. Things like that, or they can't get married overseas, which is less and less an issue nowadays with the increase in online marriages that are acceptable with the immigration department. Whereas, 5 years ago it wasn't the case, so we had to do the fiance visa. In other scenarios, like this is a really random one, but we had a couple where they did a fiance visa on their own, and the foreign spouse had smoked marijuana before and told the doctor at the medical interview that's required as part of the green card process, and they got a temporary refusal on that visa application for 1 year so they could be repeatedly tested to make sure they don't have marijuana in their system and they're not using. Now, if you're going through the visa embassy system to get a visa to come here, whether it's a fiance or marriage case, the consular officers are not as strict on just straight up denying you for marijuana use. Whereas if you're in the United States doing it, I'd be more hesitant because USCIS immigration department can be more strict on that and cause just a flaw in denial. So in this case, the fiance visa, the problem is if they were able to get the visa for a year, come to US, they still needed to apply for adjustment of status, the green card application in the US because fiance visa has more steps. And then in the US, potentially this history with marijuana use would be problematic and lead to denial. Whereas when they came to us after the initial refusal in that 1 year of testing was happening, I said, you know what, just get married instead. So they got married, filed a marriage case, did the medical checkup, told the officers straight up what had happened. They knew it was in their system, and they got approved, and they came to the United States, and they're done, and that's it. So they don't have to deal with the immigration department unless they decide to file for naturalization citizenship, where it'll come up again. So that'll be a decision where they want to make if it's something they want to do or not. But as long as you're truthful and stuff, as you see, there's an endless amount of these scenarios that may pop up, and that's what, as immigration lawyers, we're here for doing, is to study your unique case, to see strategically which one's more appropriate, but 9 out of 10 times, it makes more sense to get married, but you might not have much relationship history. You might have just met the person, stuff like that, which makes it more skeptical to think that the marriage is real. So you want to start the fiance visa, they'll be more lenient on that. So as you move to the right side of the chart, let's say you are married already. Then the question is, are you married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder in your quest to get a green card? If you're married to a green card holder, then the next question is the foreign spouse, the foreign person, inside the United States or not? If they're not in the United States, they have to file what's called a Form I-130 petition to show the government the marriage is real. When I'm recording this in November 2024, it's taken about 2 years to get that approved. Unfortunately, it takes a long time. And then once the I-130 is approved, there's a separate line that's called the Visa Bulletin Preference Category, F2A, that they need to wait for. Right now, that's like 3 years right now when we're recording these. These timelines go up and down pretty dramatically. But eventually they do an embassy interview and they come to the United States and get a green card. Now, if they are inside the United States already, the spouse of a green card holder, if did they enter lawfully? Is there lawful entry? If no, they'll need to leave the U.S. and do the embassy process. And by leaving, they may be subject to different bans or issues. So that becomes complicating once consult with an attorney. If they enter U.S. lawfully and they're here lawfully, for example, if a student visa holder marries a green card holder, they could file the case in the United States. Now, they have to file the I-130 again to show the marriage is real. And when they could file for a green card depends on what the rules are on that particular month. Every month it changes of the visa bulletin and how USCIS will accept it. It's not the place for conversation here about that because it's a whole topic. But it gives you a heads up that if you have this kind of married green card holder as opposed to a citizen, that's where you should strategically consult with immigration and you plan it out. Now, on the other hand, if they married the foreign citizen married a U.S. citizen and they're in the United States, we asked, did they enter lawfully? If they did, they have a chance to just file the I-130, I-485, all the green card application paperwork, right, as long as they don't have other issues like inadmissibility issues, criminal history, alike, and they can get it in and get the green card. No extra delays on that. If the foreign spouse is outside the United States, just like the green card spouse outside the United States, you have to file the I-130 petition. For U.S. citizen spouse cases, they're faster to approve those, both the I-130 petition as well as getting an embassy interview faster. And so once the embassy interview happens, you get the visa, you come to the United States, you're a green card holder. So again, this comparing to the fiance visa is important here because fiance visa, once you enter, you still got to jump through a bunch of hoops and to get the green card, delays, petition interview. Whereas if you're married and you entered, then you're done. Once you enter with the immigrant visa, you'll get a green card mailed to you as long as you pay that $220 fee or how much it is at the time of recording of this, at the time you're watching this. But that's it. So I wanted to go through this. If you actually, I should have said this at the beginning, but if you want this chart, it's available for free. A whole 70-page guide that we have at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Again, it's a 70-plus page guide that breaks everything down, has samples, affidavits, sample questions, sample this and that. You'd be amazed at what's out there in the guide. It's free. Just go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com, and this is just one page of it. You go through breakdowns where you see here, ICC Chapter 6, Chapter 5, 13, 6, 7. I explain those more, and you can read it at your own time. And if you're even going to hire an immigration attorney, it's best to download this guide first, read it, so then you go talk to the lawyer or consult with us, jqqlaw.com/contact. You could ask more pointed questions instead of going over the basics. You want to ask really strategic ones that are hard hitting, so you get good answers, as opposed to asking what a Form I-130 is, stuff like that, which you just study in the guide and get to know that better. So that's a general overview of which one you want to do, a fiance case or a marriage case. And the reason this came up is because a lot of people message me and say, hey, which one's faster? Well, the fiance visa may be a couple months faster to come to the United States, but it's not faster to get the green card. Also, it depends which embassy you're dealing with. Some embassies will schedule an interview 2 or 3 months after they're notified, and some will take 2 or 3 years. So I have to know a lot of information, and it's just on a whim. Who's the president, what the officers doing that day, what's going on in the local politics of the country. There's so many different factors that come into play. It's hard to give exact timelines, but even for me to give a general one, I need to know a lot more information about you. And then another question that pops up is, which has a higher chance of approval or success? And it's not a good way to think about it because each case is different. So you can't compare yourself based on general averages and stuff. We kind of see what's going on in your case, what evidence you have, what country you're from, all that kind of stuff. And you decide whether to move forward. It's a strong case or not. So it's either you should move forward or not move forward. Better chances doesn't make sense. At most, if you're deciding on a fiance visa, it goes to the factors I talked about earlier. A lot of times, a personal decision because you want to have the wedding really in the United States with family here. But almost every time, people who've gone through a fiance visa end up regretting it and say, I should have just got married in court wherever I was and got it done instead of thinking romantically to get married in the United States. I like the romanticism to it, but I've just almost all of them regret it. Instead, it just took so much time and extra money that we could have used that extra money to go on a nice honeymoon instead of paying extra government fees for adjustment of status. So that's something to think about. Sometimes it may be necessary to fiance visa. We do recommend it in some cases. But it really depends on your factual scenario. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. I thank you for watching this. If you want to schedule a consultation or meeting with our office, go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. That's the place to go, and we could respond to you there and take it to the next level. I wish you the best.